Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Aveksha Gunasekar, and here are your headlines for tonight.
President opens Anuradhapura North water supply project. Farmers march on President's launch demanding fair share. President calls for all to join forces to build the country. Another data scam revealed. Data relating to fuel distribution during crisis deleted. Mahavilachia farmers take to the streets demanding an end to human-elephant conflict. Ex-Minister Ramukwella's court appearance postponed citing ill health.
Starting off with your top story tonight, in a renewed call for national unity, President Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterated his invitation to the opposition to collaborate on the country's economic transformation. Now, this invitation coincided with the inauguration of the first phase of the Anuradhapura North water supply project.
We are delivering the fundamental requirements. Lenin highlighted these fundamental requirements better than me. He did not speak about communism and power. He advocated for peace, land, bread before espousing communist ideals. So, we first want to establish peace and stability in the country. Today we have stability, law and order in the country, and within this framework, anyone can criticize the government and go on processions. Secondly is the provision of bread. We have to provide bread and rice. So, at the onset, we delivered fertilizer from the United States of America, which resulted in a good harvest. Then came the land issue. Most countries do not offer lands. From the Urumia program, we have provided lands as well. Youth were not provided opportunities for employment for years. Are they supposed to wait for several more years for jobs? Another rebellion would arise before that. We need to source funds and attract foreign investments, so that is what we are doing. We will be introducing new laws for economic transformation. That is why I call everyone to come together and work together. Again, I invite the opposition and all others to join together and engage in this program.
Okay.
Frustrated by the lack of solutions to address their ongoing conflict with elephants, farmers who initiated a satyagraha at the Oyamaduwa junction in Mahavilachia escalated their action today by obstructing the main road.
Farmers from 17 Gram Niladhari divisions in Mahavilachia engaged in a 4-day satyagraha demanding solutions to the human-elephant conflict, intensified their protest today by resorting to a hunger strike. Later in the afternoon, the group launched a protest by blocking the main road, bringing vehicular movement to a standstill. Later, the Oyamaduwa OIC intervened to resolve the issue. Later, the protesters left the road and the hunger strike was temporarily called off until a solution was found.
සතියක් ඇතුළත එතුමා පොරොන්දුනා මෙම ප්‍රදේශයේ බාරව මහදිසාපතිතුමත් ආණ්ඩුකාරතුමාගේ ලේකම්තුමත් ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ පොලිස් අධිකාරිතුමත් කැඳවලා මේකට සතියක් ඇතුළත මේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන බවට පොරොන්දුවක් දුන්නා.
Now, while the President inaugurated the first phase of the Anuradhapura North water supply project, there were concerns raised by farmers regarding this project. Let's take a look at that report.
The total project expenditure amounts to 11,515 million rupees. The project was funded through a collaborative effort, receiving loan assistance of 5,166 million Japanese yen from the Japan International Cooperation Agency and a contribution of 2,789 million rupees from the government of Sri Lanka. During President's inauguration of the project, members of the Mahakanadarawa movement staged a protest expressing concerns about potential water shortages in their region. They claim that diverting water to the north before completing the canal connecting the Murugahakanda Reservoir to Mahakanada could create a severe water crisis in the agricultural community. They emphasized their reliance on rainwater for their farming activities and highlighted the potential consequences of water distribution impacting their livelihood. Police and the Police Special Task Force were summoned to control the situation. However, the farmers used other avenues to reach the site of the festivities. The project includes constructing a 65-kilometre canal to transport water from the Murugahakanda Reservoir, built under the Mahavali scheme to Yakalla in Anuradhapura, and from Yakalla the main canal will branch into 3 separate channels. One of these branches will connect to the Mahakanada Reservoir, aiming to provide both drinking water and irrigation support for agriculture. The first phase of the Northern Water Supply Project involves supplying water to the northern province through pipelines. However, before completing the project, the drinking water project was launched. Over 9,000 acres of land in Dekanna are cultivated by approximately 5,400 farming families under the Mahakanada movement. These farmers have raised concerns that the agricultural activities may be negatively impacted by the project.
We were initially promised that the Murugahakanda Reservoir would give water to the Mahakanada River, and thereafter water will be obtained. Today, we do not even have water from the Eru River. They are trying to give water to other farmers without even giving it to our farmers. Provide a permanent water supply to Mahakanada River and then provide water to Tutukorin. We are not against it. We are not against the water project to supply water from the Mahakanada River. The farmers who farm half an acre are here and they are under stress. We know that the president does not feel it. Why have they deployed the security forces? We do not need to be protected. This is our lake. This is our land. Protecting the president is a different story. We are requesting the security forces to let us through.
Despite ongoing protests from farmers within the Mahakanada movement, President Wickremesinghe proceeded with the inauguration of the Northern Water Supply Project. Following the inauguration, a group of protesting farmers had the opportunity to engage in a discussion with the President.
We are committed to providing drinking water. Water is also required for agriculture. Some are concerned whether this would lead to a shortage of water for agriculture. That will not happen, and I assure that is another issue. The farmers here need water for their lands and domestic use. Some are protesting as well. When they go back, their wives would question their screaming conduct. They would say they cannot pull water out of the well forever. I assure that both these issues will be solved.
Following their dialogue with President Wickremesinghe, representatives of the protesting farmers expressed skepticism regarding the proposed solutions to their concerns.
We are given a plaster solution. In today's discussion, the President said that after discussing with the Irrigation Department and Water Board, he will give 1,000 million for the water capacity of the Eru Canal to be increased to 2,400 acre-feet, and water will be given to the Mahakanada River based on the water requirement. But Eru River also depends on rainwater. The same applies to the Mahakanada River as well. Therefore, we need a permanent water supply from Murugahakanda to Mahakanada River.
In more headline-making news, during today's hearing of the case related to the procurement and distribution of substandard immunoglobulin within the Sri Lankan hospital system, Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girahagama informed the court that funds used for the purchase originated from the Ministry of Health budget.
While the 6 previously remanded suspects appeared in court today, former Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella was not produced in court. Prison officials cited medical reasons for the former minister's non-appearance. During today's court hearing, the Senior Deputy Solicitor General presented findings from the investigation, suggesting potential irregularities in the former Health Minister's actions regarding drug procurement. Specifically, the prosecution alleged that Rambukwala misrepresented the drug shortage situation to trigger emergency procurement procedures. The Senior Deputy Solicitor General further noted that Rambukwala had presented a document to the Cabinet on the 26th of September 2022. This document reportedly indicated a shortage of 182 medicines and raised potential concerns about a possible health crisis within 2 weeks. She further highlighted inconsistencies in the document, noting that while it lists a shortage of 182 medicines, no accompanying documentation detailing the specific medications was found. The Senior Deputy Solicitor General presented evidence suggesting that the sixth suspect, former Health Ministry Secretary Janaka Sri Chandragupta, initiated an emergency procurement for 285 medications on the day following the document referencing a potential medicine shortage was submitted. She noted that of the 285 medications, only 229 were procured. The Senior Deputy Solicitor General alleged that the investigation suggests potential misappropriation of public funds amounting to 2 billion rupees based on the alleged fabrication of a drug shortage to trigger emergency procurement.
Customs officers in Sri Lanka launched a Work to Rule campaign earlier today. The officers are seeking solutions to a range of issues, including concerns regarding salary discrepancies and the promotion and recruitment processes.
In a statement released today, the Customs Trade Union Alliance outlined the rationale behind their ongoing labour action, highlighting several unresolved issues of concern to customs officers. They demand an immediate implementation of promotions delayed for 4 years under the revised recruitment procedure and retroactive application of salary scales and benefits associated with the aforementioned promotions. Further, they call for the removal of development officers forcefully integrated into the department under the sanctioned service category. They also call for filling of existing employee vacancies within the Customs Department.
Now, do you recall the infamous NMRA data scam exposed by Newsfirst? Allegations were raised that sensitive information related to the registration and licensing of medicines and medical devices were deleted from the NMRA system. Against such a backdrop, another scam has been revealed.
Do you recall the time when many Sri Lankans spent days in line simply to pump fuel into their vehicles? Concerns have surfaced regarding potential irregularities within the fuel distribution system during the recent fuel shortage crisis in Sri Lanka. Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminal Company is a joint venture between the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Lanka Indian Oil Company, responsible for receiving fuel from ships, storing it and distributing it to designated filling stations and facilities. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation holds a majority share in this joint venture. What is the latest revelation? More than 1.3 million entries on the sales and distribution of petroleum products from Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited on SAP data has been changed or deleted since 2010, and most has occurred in 2022 during the height of the fuel crisis. According to a post on X by Minister Kanchana Wijesekara, this is part of major findings of the forensic audit conducted by a private firm and CPSTL audit investigation on the sales and distribution of petroleum products from Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited. The forensic audit was initiated based on a complaint that the minister made to the CID in August 2022 on irregularities at CPC and CPSTL. Data had been erased or deleted from the system even when the forensic audit was taking place. Reports reveal that an alleged data deletion incident reportedly occurred on the 24th of November 2023 at 2:43 a.m. involving an employee of a private audit firm. Reports suggest that the employee used another person's laptop to delete a significant amount of data. Additionally, concerns have been raised regarding the absence of this data in the backup system.
Accessing the SAP system to delete data at midnight is an attempt to undermine the investigation. Those responsible for this crime should be punished. The CPC also paid a significant amount for a disaster recovery device for this SAP system. It has come to a point where it is not possible to determine if the deleted data is available in the backup. 66% of Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited belongs to the CPC. During the crisis in 2022, Kolonnawa and other locations distributed fuel for 10 filling stations continuously. If the invoice says 40, but only 30 were released. At times, 2 to 3 deliveries were made on one order. A 2023 audit decided to conduct a forensic audit. The personnel at that firm were even given the passwords to enter the system. Therefore, there are concerns of data manipulation and fraud. 6 months have passed and no forensic audit is available.
Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminal Company acknowledged reasonable suspicion of data deletion and confirmed the involvement of an individual from a private audit firm, not a CPSTL employee. Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminal Company clarified that the data was deleted from a remote login system. The managing director of CPSTL, Colonel SRP Ratnayaka, said that the individual in question has been removed from ongoing forensic analysis. CPSTL went on to note that an investigation into alleged data deletion is taking place as part of the ongoing forensic audit. The timing of the data deletion coinciding with the public struggle during fuel shortages raises concerns about potential irregularities. Shouldn't there be a fair and comprehensive investigation on these immediately? Can one simply save one's skin by passing the blame on to the predecessor's era?
News First with the people.
Sri Lanka police said that drug trafficker Hapua Ratchige Don Pium Hastika, also known as Puma, who was arrested in Dubai and brought back to Sri Lanka by detectives from the CID, will be held under detention orders. Police spokesperson DIG Attorney at Law Nihal Thaldua confirmed the arrest and ongoing investigations into Puma's alleged involvement in murders and arms trafficking.
Puma is suspected of being a close associate of notorious drug peddler Kudu Salindu. He was arrested in Dubai and brought back to Sri Lanka by the Criminal Investigation Department. Police said that 4 arrest warrants were issued against Puma by the Panadura court. He is suspected of involvement in the murder of Lakshan Sandaruwan on the 25th of January 2021. Another murder accusation against Puma relates to an incident on the 29th of June 2020 at the Katubadda junction in Moratua, where 2 people were brutally killed. Police investigations also revealed financial transactions worth 83 million rupees between Puma and the elder brother of Kudu Salindu. These transactions are being investigated for potential links to illegal activities.
Salindu Malisha Gunaratna, also known as Kudu Salindu, who is detained and interrogated at the Criminal Investigation Department along with this suspect, is wanted for murder and drug trafficking. He had about 4 open warrants issued by the Panadura court. He was accused of several murders. In particular, investigations were conducted by the Criminal Investigation Department regarding the crimes of this suspect. After his crimes were discovered, a red notice was issued through Interpol. Thereafter, he was arrested in Dubai. Accordingly, as a result of the discussions between the state of Dubai and Sri Lanka, the intervention of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the intervention of the Criminal Investigation Department, the Ministry of Public Security, and after the relevant discussions, the suspect was arrested.
Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Santosh Jha says that efforts are being made to build a land bridge connecting India and Sri Lanka.
Ferry service, I can tell you that before the end of this month, we will have the ferry service from Nagapattinam and Kankesanture. Regarding the Talemanar, the historical Talemanar Rameshwaram link, we are currently working on it. We hope by the end of this year something should come out of it. It requires building of infrastructure, not just to repair the pier and create the ability for the jetties to land, but also to provide services of the customs and immigration for people to smoothly move across the two maritime boundaries. So this is something we are very, very deeply committed to. As you know, connectivity is an important theme in the India-Sri Lanka partnership. It is the central piece of our economic partnership. We are interested in building greater connectivity for the economic prosperity of our 2 people, both Indian people and Sri Lankan people. And there is one of the big connectivity initiatives that we have taken is to build the land bridge. So not only will you probably by the end of this year or early next year be able to cross the boundaries through the ferry service, can become a big tourism spot, development of hotels, influx of tourism, new industries, new economic activity can really propel this area into an era of prosperity. So this do whatever we can for the development, particularly for the fishing community, because this is something I have a personal sort of involvement in it. Some of the first, I think, the high impact community development projects that we did in Sri Lanka were for the fishing communities.
The long-awaited second terminal at the Katunayake International Airport is set to resume construction.
The construction of the second terminal at the Katunayake Airport, stalled since 2022 due to the economic recession, is set to resume following fruitful discussions between the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala de Silva, and representatives from the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA. The project, initially launched in 2020 with a JICA soft loan of 145 billion rupees, was halted in March 2022 as Sri Lanka declared it would default on its debt. This caused contractors to abandon construction of essential components, leaving only 6% of the project completed. During the discussion, Minister De Silva highlighted the rising cost of construction materials and equipment, necessitating an additional $450 million beyond the original loan amount. Recognizing Sri Lanka's current economic recovery, JICA Chairman Tanaka expressed support for the project's continuation subject to the completion of financial restructuring processes overseen by the International Monetary Fund.
Israel and Sri Lanka are likely to sign a landmark civil aviation agreement, paving the way for direct flights and a potential boom in tourism and business travel.
Israel and Sri Lanka are set to sign a civil aviation agreement aiming to strengthen relations and boost economic opportunities. Israel Foreign Ministry said the agreement will open direct air routes between the two nations, facilitating tourism and business travel. It added that the Israeli Transportation Minister will promote the use of a land route to counter threats in the region during her visit to Sri Lanka. The signing of the aviation agreement is expected to take place soon, and further agreements and collaborations might be established as part of the wider Economic Corridor initiative.
Concerns are rising over public health in Sri Lanka as both air quality and rising temperatures pose potential threats.
The National Building Research Organization has issued a warning regarding deteriorating air quality in several areas, particularly highlighting high levels of dust particles in Badulla district. The organization's concerns focus on potential health risks, especially for vulnerable populations like children, the elderly and individuals with respiratory issues. Yelemude Kumara, Deputy Director of the Badulla District Disaster Management, urged individuals in these categories to exercise caution and avoid extended exposure to outdoor environments. The NBRO attributes this decline in air quality to external pollutants carried by wind currents. As a precautionary measure, they recommend wearing face masks, especially when spending time outdoors, limiting time spent in open environments for those with respiratory problems. At the same time, parents and caregivers are urged to be vigilant as the Health Department warns of an increased risk of dehydration among children due to the recent hot weather spell. G. Vijay Surya, Deputy Director General of Health Services, stressed that with rising temperatures, it's crucial to take necessary precautions to prevent heat-related illnesses, especially in vulnerable populations like children. Highlighting the importance of staying hydrated, Vijay Surya emphasized the need for frequent water and liquid intake throughout the day.
In more local news, parliamentarian M.A. Sumantiran has challenged the Speaker's certification of the online safety bill in court.
President's Counsel and Member of Parliament M.A. Sumantiran filed a fundamental rights application in the Supreme Court challenging the Speaker's certification of the online safety bill as having been enacted into law. In his petition, MP Sumantiran claims that the government was seeking to enact the bill without fully adhering to the Supreme Court determination and that he had pointed out that the draft committee stage amendments would not sufficiently rectify the shortcomings and provided his concerns in writing to the Speaker. The petitioner claims that the bill could have been passed by a simple majority only if all the changes required by the Supreme Court were incorporated. MP Sumandiran states that the bill was approved only by a simple majority of members present and that therefore the bill could not have become law. Therefore, he states that the Speaker, by certifying that the bill was enacted into law, has violated the public trust and the fundamental rights guaranteed to Sumandiran and the citizenry.
Civil groups gathered at the Liberty roundabout to protest against suppression. Now, civil groups gathering at the Liberty roundabout demanded that the government do away with suppressive legislation.
Please hold the general election or the presidential election this year. There has to be a presidential election end of the year, maybe in October or before that. So we urge the president not to play games, to hold the presidential election on time without any delay and let the people choose their desired president and their desired government.
The big question on everyone's mind is, when is the election? Is it going to be a presidential election, a general election, or a referendum? Or will there be no election at all? Here's a look at the comments made in Sri Lanka's political arena.
When is the election? Discussions are ongoing regarding potential changes to the Sri Lankan constitution, including the possible postponement of the upcoming vote and the abolition of the executive presidency.
දැන් සර් මේ විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය අහෝසි කරන්න ඕන කියලා කියන ඔබතුමාගේ මතය කොහොමද?
අවුලක් නැහැ.
ඔබතුමා කැමතිද?
ඔව්.
දැන්
මම හිතපු එකනේ.
හිතපු එකනේ වැඩක්.
මම දැන් මුක්ති විඳලා ඉවරයි. ඒක තමයි ඉතින් ඒක නැති කරත් හොඳයි. ඒකෙන් මොකද රටේ අද දැන් අද රට මේ කියන්නේ නැති කරන්න කියලා නේ.
සර් ඒක ජනාධිපති මේ මැතිවරණේ කල් දාගන්න ජනාධිපතිවරණේ කල් දාගන්න කරන උගලක් කියලා විපක්ෂෙන් කියනවා.
වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් ඉතින් අපිට රනිල් හඳුනනෝනේ අපි. ඒක වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්.
When is the election? However, SLPP MP Namal Rajapaksa says the abolition of the executive presidency must take place following extensive discussion.
As a party, we are ready to face any election. As per the constitution, we need to have a presidential election. Some speak of the abolition of the executive presidency. Some speak of delaying the presidential election. As a party and personally, the position is that the presidential election must take place as per the constitution. Ranil Wickremesinghe advocated for democracy. The government of good governance was also established, citing the lack of democracy. I believe he would not engage in anything that is undemocratic. As a party, we believe in wider discussion when it comes to abolishing the powers of the executive. If such a discussion takes place, it must be done in accordance with the election system. You cannot address it separately and add a plaster solution.
When is the election? Minister Mahinda Amaravira shared these thoughts.
Whoever secures power will never let go of it. So the wise move is to do away with it when the term is coming to an end. I do not know when it would happen. I believe that the executive presidency must be abolished no matter who proposes it. We will support it. Only a
When is the election? The Samagi Jana Balawegya declared its opposition to any postponement of the election under the pretext of reforming the executive presidency.
Only a new parliament that represents the real mandate of the people can abolish the executive president. As the uncle made the premiership the presidency, the nephew may convert the presidency into the premiership. Many things may have been offered to delay the legislature. Therefore, we need to prepare for a presidential election after the 16th of September. We will not allow for any form of conspiracies to take place.
Former Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena called on Afreen Akhtar, the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs. The meeting took place at the US State Department premises.
Sri Lanka's political landscape was a subject of discussion during the meeting. It was reported that both sides had fruitful discussions on the alliance formed by the SLFP, as well as a wide range of bilateral matters. It is also reported that several measures discussed during the meeting would be executed in the coming months. The former president has also expressed his appreciation for the support given to Sri Lanka by the US Deputy Assistant Secretary Afreen Akhtar.
Several political groups responded to a recent statement made by the president. Now, speaking at the national program distributing school supplies to students, the president said that he had to beg the international community to secure Sri Lanka's the future of Sri Lanka's children. And this were some of the responses to that statement.
This was the response given by the SJB. The president says that he will beg for our children, but we know that even if you are a beggar on the side of the road, you don't have to pay back the money you get when you beg. The president is begging so that our daughters and sons can pay back our debt. Therefore, the president should reduce those foreign trips, because there is a foreign minister in this country. That foreign minister can also go and beg. Tell him to collect the taxes from the Inland Revenue Department, which operates under his Ministry of Finance, from here. So far, about 1 trillion has gone to waste without being collected. The Frontline Socialist Party also commented. Ranil Wickremesinghe is now talking about the country's economy. Ranil Wickremesinghe says that he is going around the world begging for the sake of the children of Sri Lanka. When he took over, he said that Namal should cross the bridge and not about the children of the country. So this is a journey to cross Namal over the Wine Bridge. Therefore, of the money stolen by the Rajapaksas, the business class has taken $53 billion out of the country and put it in other accounts. So there is no need to beg around the world. There is money that was taken out of this country. If you recover the looted wealth of this country, there is no need to beg around the world. See Ranil Wickremesinghe's statement as if he is patting children on the head. We didn't tell Ranil Wickremesinghe to take a loan. The crisis they caused is what will be sent to these children in the future. Tax cheats have been allowed to go free. When we used to watch cartoons, there were a group of witches called Butterfulachi. They took the children and take them to the forest and consume them. Now Ranil Wickremesinghe is like that. They trick the children and promise them the future, but they do the opposite.
Controversy continues to surround the online safety bill that was passed amidst much protest from both local and international stakeholders, and is now to be amended again by the government just 2 weeks after its passage. The Ministry of Justice clarified matters surrounding these amendments, and representatives of trade unions responded to them.
We
cannot present matters in committee meetings that is beyond the scope of the original bill that was considered by the Supreme Court. Because of the legal barrier, we did not present some of the points agreed with the stakeholders during the second reading. But all those amendments were presented to the Cabinet by the Minister of Public Security last week, and the Cabinet gave the policy approval to it.
Cabinet Mandale api ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය අනුමැතිය ලබා දුන්නා. මේ පනත කවුරුත් ඉල්ලුවේ නැහැ. ජනතාව
No one asked for this bill. The people asked for a vote. They are trying to suppress online activities by bringing the Online Security Act. And on the other hand, they are trying to control mass media by bringing the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission Act. Without holding these elections, the government is trying to bring laws which suppresses the people. Why is the government doing all of this? They are doing this to suppress the people. The Ranil Rajapaksa government that does not have a mandate and who does not have the goodwill of the people are bringing these acts to suppress the people for their own benefit. The Anti-Terrorism Act is broad, and through that they are looking at suppressing professionals. They are bringing the online safety bill and going to stop the circulation of information on corrupt activities of the government. They are bringing the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission Act to stop the mainstream media from sharing information regarding corrupt activities of the government.
UK-based global technology solutions provider Plaed launched its new office in Colombo yesterday. Today, Newsfirst spoke to company representatives regarding how it will benefit Sri Lanka. The UK-based company, known for its ERP solutions, is to expand the operations in the island nation by planning to hire new employees over the next 2 years, significantly strengthening its global support team.
We've had a very successful internship program specifically around finance with the University of Sri Lanka. We're now expanding that based on the successes that we've had in discussions with the University of Moratura. Another one of the mechanisms that has a big role to play in this area is to recognise the fact that there are a number of players in the software industry, the ERP industry, that have Sri Lanka at their heart. And it makes an enormous amount of sense to actually operate together as a consortium, as an association, if you like. And this is an area that we're at the heart of to maximise for mutual benefit the impact that we have on the universities, the impact that we have on the recruitment market in general to benefit from it.
The Freda Korea Awards 2023 by the Gamini Korea Foundation took place in Colombo. The presentation of awards to the winners of the Freda Korea Awards 2023 competition will be held at the BMICH. One of the principal goals of the Gamini Korea Foundation is to give grants, gifts or donations to charities in the name of Dr. Gamini Korea's mother, Mrs. Freda Korea. However, the Freda Korea Awards 2023, the first of its kind, was conceptualized to go beyond giving grants, gifts and donations and to take on a new dimension of conducting research on the problems faced by low and middle-income women in trying to defeat poverty through family empowerment.
If not for him, no problem. Congratulations.
Justice for plantation workers. Old story, new story, same story. After every election, the MPs who were elected by the votes of the plantation people were appointed to the cabinet. They enjoyed many privileges and received large budgets. But during parliamentary budget debates, they spoke very little about the need to provide the plantation workers with a living wage. Didn't the union leaders, who have charged membership fees for many decades from these workers' meager salaries, not understand the misery of the workers? Don't those who negotiate and sign collective agreements understand the need to implement the promises contained in these same agreements? Didn't the planters who benefited by the fall of the rupee versus the dollar think to pass on that benefit to the workers? Mr. President, the estate workers also have mouths and stomachs. They also feel hunger. They are not robots. How was it decided that a daily wage of 1,700 rupees is sufficient for those who work on behalf of the country? The unions are also now parroting 1,700 rupee figure that the president threw into the air. None of them seem to want to work towards at least providing a payment that will stop the workers from going hungry. Even after 200 years, there has been no change in the lifestyles of this unfortunate community. Now, with the decision taken by Ranil Rajapaksa, there will be no tangible benefit to the workers. Therefore, a daily wage of more than 2,500 rupees must be provided to estate workers. Justice for plantation workers. Old story, new story, same story.
That's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.